Hello everybody, you're welcome back again to the Reggae Appreciation Society. The reggae scene has had more than its fair share of colourful characters over the years, from the militant eccentricity of Peter Tosh to the wacky persona of Ika Mouse. But no other artist to ever walk the earth intrigues me like the great Jacob Miller, the bionic dread of Inner Circle. The man was simply one of a kind. He was endowed with an effervescent personality, plenty of charm, loads of singing and songwriting ability, not to mention his electric stage presence and outrageous antics in live performances. But beneath his showmanship, Miller was as fearless and revolutionary as they come. But his militancy was always wrapped up in so much charisma and humour that Babylon never knew exactly how to respond to him. It didn't matter who you were, Jacob Miller would always be Jacob Miller. At the One Love Peace concert in 1978, he famously grabbed a police inspector's hat and put it on while performing, with a gigantic spliff in his mouth. The officer in question was stunned but couldn't do a thing about it. But the Jamaican chief of police was furious and called Jacob the next day to tell him off. And Miller responded by recording a hilarious diss track a week later. According to Leroy Horsemouth Wallace, legendary drummer and artist, one day Jacob asked him to accompany him for a visit to Prime Minister Michael Manley's office, and Miller scared Horsemouth half to death when he put his feet on the Prime Minister's table mid-conversation. Horsemouth said he was frightened that he would be arrested on the spot, but incredibly, the Prime Minister didn't seem to care. These examples are all from when Miller was already a superstar, but the foreshadowing of what would be a career of notable antics began in 1973 as a new member and lead singer of then upcoming band Inner Circle. While performing at a state banquet thrown in honour of a member of the UK royal family, Miller shocked Jamaica, the Prime Minister, all the ministers, dignitaries and ambassadors present when he told members of the UK royal family to basically stay in their lane, something totally unthinkable with the potential to spark a diplomatic incident. But what is the story behind it? It was 1973 and Her Royal Highness Princess Anne, the second child of Queen Elizabeth II, got married in early September to her then heartthrob British Army officer Captain Mark Phillips. After a lavish royal wedding, the couple took off for their honeymoon that was a month-long transatlantic cruise to the Caribbean. And what is a visit to that part of the world without a stopover at the very pearl of the Caribbean itself, in the lovely island of Jamaica? The couple had a very packed schedule for their 2-day stay on the island. And when they arrived in the morning on Wednesday the 12th of December, they were received by Governor General Florizel Glasspool and Prime Minister Michael Manley before going round several places on their itinerary. And they would end their rounds that day with a visit to the Listamere Gilby School for the Deaf in Kingston, before retiring to their hotel room to get some rest and to freshen up before their lavish state banquet that evening at Jamaica House, the official residence of the Prime Minister. That evening's event was designed to be a very grand affair, with heads of government, cabinet ministers, the diplomatic corps, dignitaries and general who's who in Jamaica scheduled to attend it. And for entertainment, the organizing committee had plenty of acts, from opera singers, dancers, acrobats and magicians at the very top of the billing. And they also hired an upcoming band called Inner Circle that was led by brothers Roger and Ian Lewis as something of a stopgap to play soft music in between the MC's announcements and the various performers lined up for that show. Inner Circle were at the time known for being an outfit that did covers of popular music since their formation in 1968. This traditional formula of doing covers led to a huge chunk of the band leaving to do their own thing and do more original music, and the group that left went on to form Third World earlier in that year. It was a huge blow to the group, but they soon filled those empty roles with ace instrumentalists as well as one incredibly gifted and charismatic vocalist called Jacob Miller. Miller had joined that band in the most unusual of ways. He was looking for where to pitch his musical tent and set his sights on Inner Circle. He decided that he would join the group no matter what it took, and when he found out where they rehearsed every week, he would go to the venue to watch them jam. He observed that the band didn't yet have a lead singer yet, so being the character that he was, he would wait for when they were taking breaks to shout through the window that Inner Circle was good, but that they needed him and would never become great without the great but unknown Jacob Miller. They all thought he was crazy at first, but unbelievably, he kept this up for months until he literally wore out the Lewis brothers, and after giving him the chance to audition, they would add him to the band as lead vocalist. His addition to Inner Circle was a catalyst for a sensational rise in the band's fortunes. They released their second album, Dread Reggae Hits, and began to really break into the big time. So that evening, they were the only band hired to play at the reception for Princess Anne and her husband, but the organizers had told them to keep their sound really low and tame on the night. So after all the acts had done their thing, it was time for the guests to settle down to their dinner as the organizers wrapped up the event for the evening. So the MC came over to the band and told the Lewis brothers that the band was only to play very soft and calm background music that would allow the royal couple and dignitaries have their conversations while eating. So the Lewis brothers relayed the instructions to their band, who all seemed to be okay with it, except of course for a 5'10" ball of energy called Jacob Miller. In a shocking move that surprised his bandmates, he grabbed the microphone as they were about to play, looked straight in the direction of Princess Anne and the entire Jamaican government seated in front of him on the Jamaican house lawn, and decided to mash up the place big time. Dramatically, he announced, "Good night to all the dignitaries and all you important people seated here." He pointed straight at the princess and said, "Hey Queenie, hold your corner, everything nice and crisp." For a split second, you could have heard a pin drop before Princess Anne and her husband burst into wild laughter, followed by everybody else present. For those not too conversant with Jamaican patois, hold your corner is just a different way of saying stay in your lane or simply mind your business. Jacob Miller made it clear that he and his band weren't going to be quiet at all. They were there to rock the house, and rock the house they definitely did. Far from a quiet gig, they put on a very solid and heavy performance that had the prim and proper creme de la creme of Jamaican society on their feet. Princess Anne, for one, had a whale of a time and didn't dance or anything, but really enjoyed herself, and it really showed. And at the end of their show, she would scribble a note and have the MC take it over to Jacob Miller and the band, and in it, she wrote, "Thank you for making me feel like a normal human being." What had at first looked like a disaster in the making due to a major breach of protocol had ended up becoming a masterstroke and the high point of the evening's affair. Normally, royal family members are used to rigid protocol, strict schedules, and of course, everybody around them being super polite to the point of worship. Princess Anne, for one, had probably expected that that banquet would go the way of the thousands that she'd attended in her lifetime, but I bet she didn't expect the unscripted chaos and humorous call-out from Jacob Miller. He made it clear that she might be royalty and all, but on that stage, he was in charge, and for half an hour, he made the princess feel like a normal lady on a night out with her husband. Prime Minister Michael Manley would take special note of Jacob from that evening and became very friendly with him from then on until Miller passed away in a very tragic car accident in 1980. That night's interaction with the princess was a prime example of the special charm that Jacob had. Jacob Miller was one of those people that could do crazy stuff and always get away with it. According to Inner Circle's founders, Roger and Ian Lewis, Jacob was the kind of person that you just couldn't hate, even if you tried to. In their own words, he had the makings of a great actor and was seriously working on becoming one. He had featured alongside other musicians in the 1978 movie Rockers and stole every scene in which he was featured in. So when Island Records opened a subsidiary called Island Pictures dedicated to making movies, it was said that he was picked for a role in their first flick, Countryman, an action movie starring Edwin Lawton that came out in 1982. But unfortunately, his sudden passing 2 years earlier would have brought that dream. Honestly, I think he would have made one amazing actor. Truly, a once-in-a-lifetime character and one of the most enigmatic personalities in the history of the reggae genre. So there you have it. Thank you for watching the video today. Please leave a like, subscribe, and until next time, Jah bless.